So we are very excited to have Cody and Dale from Haunted Like Human on the show tonight. Welcome. We
Thank
are
you.
super excited to have you.
Thank
Welcome,
you so
welcome.
much
for
for
having
having
us.
us.
Right. Tell us where you're coming to us from tonight.
So we're based out of Nashville. Right now we are not at home. Right now we're actually out in Oregon with Cody's family at the moment.
Where in Oregon are you at?
On our way to our Midwest tour.
Yes.
Kicking off in Chicago.
Yay.
Very cool. Where in Oregon are you at? We have a niece that lives out there.
Okay. I will.
We are in Eastern Oregon. We are in a little town called Milton Freewater.
Okay.
I've never heard of
I've
that.
never heard of that either.
Everyone
now.
has. The closest
Arnie?
town anyone maybe has heard of is Walla Walla, Washington.
Okay.
Sitting right
yes.
on the state line.
Our niece lives in Corvallis, so
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
that's
Wonderful.
I'll tell her to look out for shows while you're out there. Are you doing all house shows or are you doing any like public shows?
These are just house shows. We did our first like big proper West Coast run earlier this year back in May. So we had some Oregon shows out earlier this year. We've done the Northwest a couple of times, but it was the first time I'd ever been able to like get us in California and like do the whole thing.
Yeah.
So just a couple of house shows out here for right now before we head out to the Midwest.
Okay, well, we know the new album comes out next month. Tell us how this one came about and all things new album.
Yeah. So it was really fun in a way to like write this record with the title already in mind. Our very first album, Ghost Stories, that was the first song that Cody and I ever wrote together. We met, we decided to do a co-write. Ghost Stories was the thing that came out of it. And so when we decided on Haunted Like Human for like the name of the band, we were like, Ghost Stories has to be the title track for this record. It just goes so nicely together. And as we like found our footing in like what we were doing here and realizing that like storytelling is so at the core of what we do, it really made sense to like kind of continue that thematically through all of the titles. So then after that was our EP Folklore, and then after that was our last record Tall Tales and Fables.
And the new album is called?
The new album is called American Mythology. And it was like after we had recorded Tall Tales that I was trying to start beginning to ideate like what the heck would come next, because I was like, I feel like we have used all of the easy options now and now I gotta start getting creative. And I sat with it for a minute before I pitched it to you, so I don't remember that moment the way that you do.
Yeah, I remember distinctly you pitching it to me in the van on the way to a show somewhere. I don't know where we were. I know we were on the highway somewhere when you pitched it to me, because I can see all the trees going by and just sitting and marinating with that for a little while. We sat on it for a long time.
Yeah, because that must have been the end of 2020.
It was cool sitting with that name like throughout all of our travels around the country. And sort of letting that and the geography and the stories and the travels.
Yeah, for sure.
Be inspired by the name. Yeah.
It's certainly not like a concept record, but there's concept in the record, kind of in the sense that it's like what are the things, what are the ideas, what are the stories that sort of weave into creating like the American mythos, Yeah. From like really kind of hyper specific to really sort of broad overarching kind of moments. So it was like it didn't change anything about like the actual process of the songwriting. It was more sort of shaping the overall ideas and some of the conversations that we were having and like the types of ideas that we were wanting to pursue. And it certainly, like when it came time to do song selection, like the way it all came together, it kind of showed up most there.
So I'm going to ask, how did you guys get together as a band and where did the name come from?
I'll take the first half if you want to take the second half.
That's the story.
No, okay, so we met in Nashville. It's very silly. So Cody obviously is from out here from Oregon. And after his last band had broken up out here, he and his buddy decided they were gonna like go to Nashville for a couple weeks, hang out, see who they met. He was like trying to find people that like people in Nashville are gonna be more serious about music than they are out here. But no, but so his car, his trusty Subaru nearly broke down in like Wyoming on like a Sunday night where there was nothing to be done.
Oh no.
So he limped it all the way to Nashville from Wyoming with like all of the lights on.
Every
the
light
dashboard.
on the dashboard flashing
Oh,
at me.
wow.
I didn't think I was gonna make it.
Oh, wow.
So basically they got into Nashville and just dropped his car at the dealership to like get it worked on, and they like popped over to this coffee shop nearby where I happened to be. I like had all of like their bags and guitars, and had the look of like lost tourists looking at their phone trying to like figure out a map or something. And I worked at that time at a restaurant that was very like tourist heavy in Midtown. And I was just like, hey, like, do you need help like finding somewhere? Like, can I be helpful to you somehow? And we struck up this conversation. They had guitars, they were musicians. He was like, oh yeah, like we're out of town, we're trying to write, whatever. And I at the time had decided that I was going to start like getting serious about a solo project that I was kind of like writing on and working toward. And so I agreed to like do a co-write with them, mostly because I assumed it wouldn't actually happen and I could just like give lip service to like getting outside of my comfort zone and trying new things. It did actually happen, thank goodness. Cody and one of our old writing partners sat with me through my stupendously awkward first like hour and a half, which I'm grateful for. I still hardly had any idea of what like my own songwriting process was, let alone never having written with anybody else.
Yeah.
But once we kind of got past that and started actually being able to like work on it and bounce the ideas back and forth, chemistry is the only word that comes to mind, but it's kind of true.
We just clicked in a way
Yeah.
that, if you've written with enough people, that like not every two people write together, in the same way or in any sort of a functional way.
No, like within a couple of hours. This was like maybe a 4-ish hour writing session.
Wow.
And by the end of it, we were like tackling the bridge. We're like, well, how do we get out of the bridge and into this last chorus? And we both kind of had this like hilarious brain blast moment. It was like, it's gonna shoo, and it was like all of these non-words, just kind of nonsense, but we were very clearly on the same page. And then we like executed it. And our friend was sitting in the corner like, what just happened? Like it just like it was there and it worked and it was easy and it was fun. And like all of the weird ways in which my brain works, he was like, okay, that's cool. I wasn't expecting that. Awesome. He's like, he loves a challenge. He loves when I throw him. And so it just clicked super naturally, like within his first week of being in Nashville. So we kept hanging out and we kept writing, and it kind of snowballed into, I was like, hey, I want the song Ghost Stories for this EP that I'm going to work on, but I can't play that guitar part that you wrote. Would you want to come back to Nashville just to play guitar in the studio for me? It'll be a lot easier for you to learn my handful of songs that are just very easy strumming, whatever. It'll be like quicker and cleaner and better in the long run than me trying to learn this part. And it went from that just being like, well, we could be a band. And he was like, I could just move to Nashville.
All of this happened before I even drove back home. This was still the first visit when we were having this conversation.
We've known each other for 2 weeks at the most at this point. It was absurd.
My car ended up in the shop longer than I'd actually got the Airbnb for, but only by one day. So Dale was generous enough to let my friend and I crash for that one extra night.
On campus. So like all the roomies were gone, and my best friend that I like shared a suite with, I was like, hey, can I crash in your room? So Cody slept in my room, his friend slept on our couch. It's like a Christian college where like we're not allowed to have boys over in the girls' dorms. It was so
oh my gosh.
But
that was the night that we had the conversation.
Oh my god, yeah.
Why don't we just be a band?
Yeah.
Like, cool. Well, my lease is up in like a month in Washington State, so I guess I'll drive back and load my stuff up.
It was insane.
Oh my gosh, what a click.
And then in like July, he moved down a couple days before we went into the studio for the first record. And then it came out in September of that year. Insane.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Okay.
It's meant to be.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
meant
still
to be.
curious about the name though. Where did the name, like, how did it come up?
The name came a fair bit later.
We had to work on it.
We had quite a few songs before we had a name.
Yeah. I think that very first show they just billed us as like Dale Chapman and Cody Clark.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh,
It's hard to pick a name.
Uh-huh.
No, because you want, obviously something that's not already taken, something that represents you and your art and what you do, something that's easy to search and unique enough that people will remember it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Less sexy elements that go into picking a band name,
Yeah,
to put
those
it
are
kind of
obviously-
bluntly.
yeah. But we really approach all of our songwriting from storytelling. What story are we trying to tell with this song? And then everything else comes to serve the story. So at some point in all of that, we were talking about these sort of like universal human experiences of being a little bit haunted by something, past regrets, anything. But, we're all a little haunted by something. And that was kind of how the name came to be.
Yeah. It was very just sort of like out of the ether, and then it hit. We'd been like kicking around. It was like, well, maybe we could try this or that. Or at one point, we're like working out of a random word generator and creating like mood boards in like a shared Google Doc because he was in Oregon. It's a whole thing. And he just like we were talking about it, he just said it and it hit. And we're like, yeah.
And we sat with it for a minute and it just felt right.
Yeah, it was like, oh, that's it. And it's funny because out of all of the bands that Cody's ever been in, he's like, I'm terrible at naming things, songs, like all of like the pieces that he composed in college, any band he's ever been in, he's like, I'm terrible at naming things. And the fact that that one is definitely his, I want to like give him his props.
That's great.
That's an amazing story.
It really
all of
is. It
Oh my
really is.
gosh.
So I was going to ask, thinking of your writing, like now you've been together for a while as a duo. How do you work together now to write? Like, does one person take more of the onus? Does one person say, I'm going to write the lyrics, I'm going to write the melody? Or do you do it together, like cohesively?
Yes, and.
Yeah.
Yeah. So much of the way that our partnership works is like how different we are and how complementary it is. I have a background in words. I've always been like, from the time I was a little kid, I was like writing fiction and poetry, and I have a degree in editing. And so I tend to come in with lyrics and melody. For me, those two things are pretty, they just are assigned to each other. It is very, very rare that I have one without the other. There's been a few times at this point that we have played with one or the other on purpose, but for the most part, the idea comes as like a unit. And I'll typically come to him with like, here's like a chorus or like part of a verse, or there's at least like some concrete thing to start to work with, and typically at least an idea of like what that overarching story is going to be. And then from there, really, we're like working out how we're going to tell the story, what direction it's going to go in, what's going to best serve that, like what choices we're making in that regard. And Cody has a degree in composition, so it lends itself very naturally for me to be able to like, oh, I'm hearing, it's a minor seventh jump in Ghost Stories in that melody. Yeah. I'm like, oh, here's the thing. And he's like, did you do this on purpose? And the answer is always no. I know just enough theory to be dangerous, but mostly like, I was a band kid. I did a lot of musical theater, and like the flautist in me just like hears these melodies sometimes that aren't always the most normal.
But they're so fun.
But they're
I always
so fun.
appreciate the challenge of trying to work with them.
There was definitely a long time where I was like, I mean, we can like change it. It's fine. I know it's kind of, if he was struggling for more than like a couple of minutes to figure out some chords to go under it. And now I feel like there's probably been times where we've sat for like 45 minutes while we've tried to get like a few seconds worth of chords under something just because
there have been times where we've just shelved it and said we'll come back to this next week.
Yeah.
It's just not happening today because there's just something weird enough about it that we can't quite make it happen that day.
It's great. I mean, it sounds like you two are like just like it's meant to be, and everything is like clicks into place, which is so I mean, it's so like refreshing or something to see that. And I'm going to butt in and ask one more question because I am also a crazy lover of words. And I mean, you can see that in your songs for sure, but I'm curious, like, are they stories that you make up? Are they stories that you take from places? Like you were talking about the American mythology album? And I mean, are there things like you've heard this on the road and we want to expand this story, or how does that all work for you?
Do you research?
Yeah.
How's it come together?
A little bit of all of it.
Yeah. I could think of examples of all of those.
Yeah. There's definitely been, I'm just trying to think, like, on this record, there's certainly some, like, from obviously our own personal lives, like that's always going to be part of it, you know, like I had like a really devastating breakup that is on this record. Also, like, we've had like some really good, beautiful, fun, wonderful moments that our heads were in a good enough place to like be able to capture. And then there's one song called Growing Pains that is very much like about sort of like the whitewashing of American history and the way that things are made shiny at the edges, so it's not like the details kind of pushed under the rug and chalked up as sort of like the ends justify the means and things like that. You have the book ending tracks Eurydice and Cassandra, the opening and closing, that are like from just like Greek mythology. And those are always really fun. Things like those, or when I'm like really digging in on a biblical allusion. Like, I grew up very religious, whereas Cody didn't the same way. So it's really fun, like the moments where we get to like do research and dive into the text and like pick it apart and like kind of go like high school English class on it together in a weird way. But it's all kind of fair game, you know. It just kind of depends on like what strikes and what inspires and what, because there's definitely been things that we've been like, we love this idea, we want to dig into it, we want to research it, and it just doesn't come together the way that we want. There's definitely a few things we've like put on a shelf that we would like to come back to at some point. It just hasn't worked out yet.
Next album.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully. Keep kicking the can down the road on a couple of them, but yeah.
Okay, so if you had to describe your music to people who haven't heard you yet, like some of our listeners, how would you describe yourself? We hate to ask this because it kind of
genre.
Yeah, like, genre, but like if you had to put it into words, how would you describe your sound?
I want you to go first on this one.
Oh, no.
I knew you were gonna hate that.
I want to say that it's sort of like a folk Americana with a Southern Gothic flavor.
All right, I like that. Yeah, what I often tell people, the sort of like overview is like storytelling, acoustic based kind of music for people that, you know, are like, isn't that just country music? And I'm like, not quite. But on a little bit of a deeper level, I'd say like modern roots music. It's very much based in like folk and Americana and those storytelling traditions. But isn't like, we're not afraid to like genre bend and play and like serve the song in what it needs and where it can go.
Yeah. And don't forget beautiful harmonies.
That is actually an important thing to say. Yes, that is true. That is a core part of what we do.
So as traveling musicians and you're getting ready to go on a Midwest tour, how do you kind of keep your like mental and physical wellness? Like, how do you
handle that busy tour?
Yeah.
As best we can is the answer. You would think at some point we would have like really like honed in on how to do that better.
I mean, I would argue we're getting better every time.
It's true, we are.
But yeah, always room for improvement in that regard. The road is hard.
The road is hard. I think the things that we're on top of the most, it's honestly just like kind of being up against the logistics of being on the road. I think that people tend to think it's like a little bit more like cool, fun, exciting, adventurous than it really is. Because
so much of it is just carrying all of your worldly possessions back and forth from the van to a hotel, to the venue, to the van. Everything you gotta carry.
Oh my God, yeah. We have a dolly now.
We do have a dolly. That helps a lot.
Yay!
Cool. He's fantastic. We love him. He's a really good dolly. But he also named the dolly. He did. No, but a lot of like when I do all of our booking, so we have like generalized rules of like we're not going to go typically more than like 4.5 hours between cities on a show day because we need to be able to sleep.
Yes.
Right.
We've got to be able to rest. The time crunch of having things being really tight is just like too stressful, and that adds up, and we felt it, and we don't want to do that. There's always off days. There's always off days when we're on the road
to recharge.
for sure.
I would say we always in the morning find a good breakfast and a tasty coffee beverage. Morale, it gets us started off on the right foot.
Yeah, it's good for body and soul.
Yeah.
I need a tasty beverage. Like the caffeine doesn't do it for me, but I need it for morale.
Yeah, it's good for morale.
He definitely actually just needs
I need
coffee.
the caffeine. Bringing our dog on the road helps a lot for morale as well. She is a sweet girl. She
just does this in the van. Like she just tucks herself underneath the first bench seat, and that's her spot. And she doesn't make a peep for hours on end. She just stays. But yeah, honestly, just like being really intentional and mindful about working in the time logistically to be like, we're gonna get up and we're gonna get breakfast, and we're gonna get to whatever city, and we're probably gonna check into the hotel like as soon as we can at 3, and we usually have just enough time to like get ready if we haven't already at the previous hotel before we left. Get ready. You got to get to the venue to load in, to sound check, to do all of that, and then the show. Somewhere in there, you have to eat dinner.
Yeah,
otherwise you will die. Like there, but it's like, okay, where do we weasel that? We have to like make sure we're on top of that because we've felt the repercussions of having sound check for dinner too many times.
Yeah,
and it's terrible. Because then you feel like crap, and then your blood sugar's tanking on stage. You got the shakes, and it's just
And then you're in the show's done, you're starving, and it's the middle of the night in a city you don't know. Can't find food anywhere. So
and also, it's like how many times we're gonna have Taco Bell in like 4 days?
Scraps at the hotel lobby. See what kind of snacks they have.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So it honestly just like for us, it mostly looks like being intentional about like, are we drinking water? Have we made room in the timeline of the day to actually eat? And like just the minimum of like fueling the body.
Yeah, remember to take care of yourself.
Yeah, because it's so easy, especially for me. My dad's an engineer. I have his brain. I can be very like, here's the things, and we go down the road and dig it, and like a little bit robotic and very just like check it off the list. And then the fact that I'm like a human with needs can very easily fall
not a
away.
robot.
Cody has legitimately over the years be like, you have to put humanity back into the timeline. And I've been like, no, we could just be more efficient. And I'm like, no, I just have to put humanity back into the timeline.
Well, remember that your name is haunted like human.
Human, yes. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh, it's
great.
But that's fantastic because I mean, how often do we do that in our everyday lives anyway? I'm busy. I got to get here. I got to get there. I got to get here. And when we go, oh, it's 4:00 in the afternoon. I haven't even had lunch yet.
Yeah,
I totally get that. So that's good.
And hearing that you talk about the time crunch. So before we started recording, I was telling you all that I had gotten stuck in a traffic. There was an accident. And I was like, oh. So that horrible feeling of there's not enough time to do everything.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you're being mindful of it. I think that's good. I think that's good for our listeners to hear too, to be like, oh yeah, I do have to do these things.
Take a breath. We can do it. We can do it. So when you're not doing music, where would we find you? What kind of hobbies do you have? If you have even any time for that.
We both have our house plants that we tend to.
Oh yeah, we've got a lot of plants between the two of us. They're like our tiny desk video that we did, the submission for that. It started from the fact that the apartment that I was at, like my heat went out in January in like a single digit cold week, which is not the norm for Nashville. That's about like most of the winter in Nashville. So me and all of my plants just like picked up and ran to his place so that all of my plants wouldn't die. And I was like, this looks pretty impressive in here. So the whole like wall of all of them, and then we did something similar with our Kickstarter video. That's probably the biggest one. I feel like Cody in particular is very into cactuses, I will say.
They're a lot of fun.
Cool.
Grow a lot in the Tennessee sun, and they don't die when we go on tour. They continue.
That's great.
Which is a big plus. I never knew there were so many different kinds of cactuses. It was really impressive. I'm more of a tropicals person, but I do appreciate, like, we go out on the back deck. He's got like moves them all outside for the summer, and there's
Awesome.
dozens. He grows them from seed. It's impressive,
Wow.
right?
That is impressive.
That is impressive.
That's a cactus is a plant I can't keep alive, and probably because we live in Nebraska.
Yeah.
But I was very excited. I took my poinsettia out this summer and it just thrived. It looks beautiful. And then I moved it back in because it got down to 55 last night, and now it's not a happy poinsettia.
Yeah.
So
And I can't keep plants alive.
yeah, she's a plant killer. She doesn't get plants. So
No, mine are fake.
okay. Should we ask? Oh, go.
No, I was just gonna say, I was for a really long time. I only learned how to take care of plants to try to impress a girl that was really, really into plants.
I love it.
But I was like,
a
kind of
combination
showing
of
Cody.
that and being home enough to like take care of the plants during this pandemic.
That's fair.
We had the opportunity to learn.
Yes.
Where we killed lots of things before.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do the Lego plants. That's as good as I. You
For
can't
sure.
kill them. You can break them, but you can't kill them.
You can always put them back together. Oh my gosh. All right. We're going to ask you our 4 questions that we ask everybody that comes on the show. The first is, what was your first gig? And we'll say as a group.
Yeah.
And your favorite gig so far.
Okay, our very first one was Kingston Springs.
That's what I thought it was.
What was the name of that?
It was, hold on, Performing Writer.
Performing Writer.
A songwriter night at
The filling station.
the filling station
Kingston
out in
Springs.
Kingston Springs outside of Nashville.
They do it like, I think like
Cool.
Wednesday nights.
Yeah, it was a weekday night. Just a little bit west of town.
Yeah, it's kind of like bar patio vibe. We did not have, this is our very first show. This is the one that we were billed as Dale Chapman and Cody Clark. We didn't have a picture to give them or anything, and they didn't ask us for that information. What they did, they did was they pulled our individual Facebook profile pictures and like kind of photoshopped them together, and then they introed us when we got up there. And I was like, with what? With like stuff that they had gleaned from our Facebooks. It was hilarious. They're like, Dale grew up here, went to school here, and graduated. And I was like,
How do they know this?
stalkers. Such cool, fun people. We played there a number of
we played
times
there a
over the
bunch of
years.
times.
But it was just so funny. But yeah, so that was our very first show. What would you say? What's one of your favorites been? It's hard.
So far, we know there's many more to come.
That's
But
right.
Yeah.
Maybe Eddie's Attic.
Yeah, that was probably what I was gonna say too. Eddie's Attic and the Roasting Room
Oh,
are like 2 of my favorites.
I kind of forgot about that. May it rest in peace.
May it rest in peace. So I know
It's a good venue.
it's such a cool, nice listening room. So Eddie's Attic is in Decatur. It's in like a neighborhood of Atlanta, essentially. And growing up like in the Atlanta suburbs, I'd never been, but I was familiar with it, and it's a very like illustrious room in its own right. It's a 170 cap listening room, and that was like the first thing that we were able to really like cross off our band like goal wish list was to be able to play this room.
One of those rooms we wanted to play since the day we met.
Yeah. Like the
That's
Civil
awesome.
War's first record was technically their like live from Eddie's Attic. Yeah.
Wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
so
That's
it was
awesome.
it was really cool. I was definitely freaking out when I like was checking my heart rate on my Apple Watch of us just loading it. It's like 120 just being there. So we have played there twice now, and it's really, really cool to have like a working relationship with this place that like we were so OMG about. The Roasting Room was in Bluffton, South Carolina, so like right there by Hilton Head. And it was another room that certainly not the same like reputation that like Eddie's Attic had, but very nice room that I want to say was 80 cap or so, maybe 78. But just this delightful, really, really wonderful listening room in South Carolina that I was reaching out to about booking this run of shows, and it was like a second follow-up or something, because I'm gonna annoy you a little bit if you never get back to me before I give up. And it was just like hilariously very like serendipitous. Our song Ohio off of Tall Tales, off of our most recent record, it is about Cody's grandmother, and it's about like being in South Carolina wanting to get to Ohio to like reunite. And one of the like founding owners of the room was leaving South Carolina to go back home to Ohio, and like fit in this very cool way. And like I think like both of the dudes' wives had like heard Ohio on Spotify, had been like, "Oh hey, I heard this cool song. Like, do you know this band?" And then he's like, "Yeah." And then I went and like realized that you were in my inbox, and they're like, "We're looking for a band to come, like specifically have the sort of like going away show for this guy. I feel like this is a really cool like serendipitous moment. Do you want to come do that?" And we're like, "Heck yeah, we do."
Yeah.
So that was a really wonderful show, a really cool crowd. That's definitely one of my favorites.
Very
I
cool.
love that
I love
story.
that
Yeah,
too.
and I love that song, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Now you both have to answer this one.
Okay.
Who are your influences?
I'm gonna make you go.
All right. I would say like sort of folk finger picking guys, specifically Stan Rogers, the Canadian songwriter, Townes Van Zandt, of course.
There was definitely a big like John Paul White phase.
Oh yeah,
that
definitely
you
the Civil War.
yeah, I mean like the Civil Wars are like such
Yeah.
like obviously a touch point for us in general. Is that the end of your answer?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
That's a good answer. Good answer.
Yeah.
For me, the things that inspire me most tend to kind of be it tends to be like a new record by somebody that like I dig into, that I find there's some cool image, there's some cool turn of phrase. But as far as like consistently being like kind of inspirational, aspirational, Gregory Alan Isakov, one of our favorite artists in
Yeah.
general. He's magnificent. Weirdly enough, one of my like absolute ride or die most favorite artists is Florence and the Machine. And the way that she plays with images and like sonic soundscapes and just like the feeling that goes into things, I'm really consistently like inspired by in different ways her. And that's like a really funny thing to like bring into what we do. But I feel it's like when I admit that and you know it's there, you can kind of like hear it throughout in some ways. But no, honestly, it's whatever like shiny thing kind of catches my attention that some other creative has done that I'm like, oh my God, yeah, you're so right, my dude. I never would have like painted that in that light. What an interesting perspective on that. And then that gets me running down a rabbit hole. I'm trying to think of another. The Lumineers are another like really, really big one for me. That's been another like artist that I have like grown up on and been like a ride or die in my life in so many ways. It's been a really cool touch point musically.
You'll like our next question then, which is, what are you listening to on repeat?
Ooh, okay.
And you both have to answer this one too.
You can't not.
Okay.
You can peek at your Spotify or wherever you listen to music
Yes,
at.
I'm gonna
Apple
go
Music.
I'm in a big podcast mood right now. Honestly, I am also a big fat Swiftie. I will not lie to you. I have always
That's all right.
the ideal like age demographic. I was like an OG fan. Lost me there for a while. Anyway, we're here. So Tortured Poets, I have been back in for a minute. Lord's latest record, I was definitely spinning really hard there for a minute. Of course, I am just biding my time until October when we get a new Taylor record. Our record comes out, we get a new Florence record. I'm going to be really annoying to everyone around me for all of October. I've got a couple of playlists that I tend to put on right now. I've got like it's like a windows down driving that's very like kind of like indie pop rock vibes that are very much like kind of hand out the window. And then it's like sort of that during the day when I'm working, and then when I'm getting like cozy and kind of in for the night, it's much more of like a what you would expect from like our music. It's very like Gregor Isakov. You've got like some Lone Bellow in there, like very stripped back, good to be under a blanket type of music.
I love it. Okay, Cody.
So lately on repeat, I have been listening to the new Devil Makes 3 record.
Very
nice.
cool.
Had that one spinning a lot. The new Chatham Rabbits record is very good. The new Gillian Welch and David Rawlings record.
You can't go wrong there.
I've been spinning
Right.
those lately.
Very cool. Is it me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. What advice would you give to new songwriters and or musicians who are just starting out?
Mostly just keep doing it. Like the only way to get better, I am such a perfectionist. It is something that I've worked on a lot to kind of like deconstruct and like chill myself out a little bit. But we will sit and just like beat a line and a verse and hash it out for like hours. If we get stuck, we get stuck. I feel like we're actually still like working on it, talking through and figure it out. But like it can take a long time for us to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's partially because of like the standards that we hold ourselves to. But there's also like not every song you can ever write is going to be like OMG amazing. Sometimes they're just okay. Not every song, not every single thing you do can be a winner.
Yeah.
You know? And like allowing yourself room to not only fail, that is important and uncomfortable, but also allowing yourself room and learning how to like not excel all the time was something that was really hard for me. And I think has like allowed for a lot of growth, because the only way to get better is just keep doing it and get in the reps and try new things and see what sticks and what feels good and what feels right. So I think that would be mine off the bat.
That's great.
Unless
advice.
you've got something else that you want to.
I've got sort of related to yours. Would be like, just don't be afraid to rewrite your songs and to keep working on them, because so often when I was younger, I don't know if I had trouble like getting back into the mindset of the song when I originally wrote it, but so often I would just like put it down and then it would be what it was, even if I didn't like love every part of it. And these days, like Dale said, we will beat a single line to death if we have to. If we're not happy with it, it's never going to be finalized until we are happy. So we will rewrite things for months and months and months, years sometimes. You know, maybe we'll scrap the whole song, but say we liked this part of it, and we'll just take that and go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
great
you don't
advice.
need to call them done just because the song seems done. You know, you can
That's
always
right.
do it
Yeah.
better.
That's right. That's great advice.
I love that. Yes, because we have some of the stuff that we've written, we go, is this done?
Yeah, a lot of times we're like,
Maybe
is this
not.
done?
No,
It's probably
no,
not done.
not.
So it's good to hear that.
And now it's time for your shameless plug. Where can we find your music? Do you have a website? Do you have Bandcamp?
You said something about Kickstarter. I don't know if
all
it's
of
still
that stuff.
going. Yeah,
Where can we find
what
y'all?
is it all?
Pretty much everywhere is the answer. We aren't on Bandcamp. We should probably change that at some point. But basically anywhere else that you get your music, we're there. We are on Instagram and Facebook. We're on TikTok. It's silly there, but we're there. We do have our website. It's just hauntedlikehuman.com. That is obviously kind of the easiest place for all things shows. We've got all the lyrics there. I need to get the Lazarus lyrics up on the website. I'm realizing that. But we always try to make a point to like have those there for people. But yeah, basically everywhere other than Bandcamp and Twitter, we are there.
All right. Good. That's amazing.
That's very good. Very good.
Yes.
Well, we
my
so
gosh, so
appreciate
fun.
you taking the time out of your day and coming to talk with us today.
Yes.
It's been fun. Congrats on the new album. We can't wait till it's out.
No, I love the singles that are out, so I'm excited to hear the rest.
One quick question though. Is it going to be on vinyl?
That's
Yes.
always a good question. Yay!
We're
Yes,
vinyl
obviously
players.
vinyl people. So.
Pre-orders are available for that.
Yay,
All the
right.
things that you missed out on our Kickstarter pre-orders for vinyl pressings are in fact still available on our
Three
website.
different variants. We've got the standard black, we've got a blue variant, and then we have a special like handmade vinyl that
It's
has
like
like a
a
twist
twist
in the middle, so
of
it's got to be done by hand.
Yes.
And they're all double LP gatefold vinyl.
Very cool.
I'm
Inside
so
have
excited.
some bonus tracks and some live tracks.
Like live tracks, demo versions. There's a cover of a Gregory Alan Isaacoff song that we did in studio. That'll be on the D side.
So cool.
So yeah.
Even more excited.
Yes.
Thank you
Oh, yes.
so
Thank you
much.
so
We
much.
appreciate you.